At each school board meeting, staff members make presentations that highlight academic programs in the York County School Division. In September 2010, Mount Vernon Elementary School staff spoke to the board about the Daily Five.
Good evening. Thank you again for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for inviting us here this evening. We are very excited to share with you some wonderful information about the Daily Five. Again, we are going to be showing examples tonight, but we certainly welcome any of your questions and thoughts at the end of the presentation. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our reading specialist, Julie Fields.
Good evening. I'm here to introduce the Daily Five to you, and it is my pleasure to introduce the Daily Five to you. This is a framework, a structure that is new for me since I've been out of the classroom, and I've been in their classrooms looking at it, watching it, and it's amazing. It is a structure that allows for students to become independent, self-sufficient learners, but at the same time, the teacher has the opportunity to work with individuals or with small groups on targeted instruction, things that that particular student needs to work on. Over and over and over again in the research, you will find that it says simply that for students to become better readers and better writers, they need to read and they need to write every single day. And the Daily Five gives them the opportunity to do that with reading to yourself, reading to someone else, working on their writing, listening to reading, and doing their spelling or word work.
When you go into a classroom where you see the Daily Five, you find a foundation that allows for those activities that switch from a teacher-led engagement to student engagement. So what you see is very trusting in the students that they're capable of taking on that responsibility in their learning. You provide them a lot of choice to keep them engaged and their interest high. And you have a very nurturing community. You find a lot of partnership between the students themselves as well as with the teacher. And you create a sense of urgency. What is the importance of reading? You build a stamina in that the student is able to do more and more and more independently. And finally, you stay out of your students' way once routines are established.
One of the first things we need to help the students develop is the ability to pick good fit books. And we used a shoe analogy at the beginning of the year to help them do that. Just as you wouldn't just go out and pick a pair of shoes without trying it on and making sure it's comfortable, you need to also do that to choose a good fit book. So we want to find out what their purpose is for reading. Is it for fun, or is it to learn more about a topic? Are they interested in the book? Is it a favorite author, a genre, maybe a series of books they enjoy? And making sure the child's interested in the book is as important as if it's the correct level, because if they're interested, they're going to want to read it, they're going to be engaged with it. Also, we want to make sure that the student understands what they read, their comprehension, and that they know most of the words. 99% accuracy is what we're looking for. We don't want the book to be too big or too small. And tonight, Savannah from my class is here, and she's going to explain how she used this strategy to choose her book.
Nancy Drew mystery book because I like mysteries, and Nancy Drew is one of my favorite series. I'm interested in it because I like mysteries, and these are one of my favorite books to read. The purpose I'm reading it is I've already read this book before, and I wanted to read it for fun again because this is my favorite book out of the whole series.
After students have learned how to pick a good fit book, one that's good for them, not their neighbor, they get their book boxes. And this is a huge treat for them. Their book boxes become something that they hold very near and dear to their heart. They get to go through the classroom library and choose their books. At the lower levels, they'll choose more, 5, 6, up to 8. The upper levels, they might only need 1 or 2. Savannah's little sister, Sydney, was one of my students last year, and she's going to share how she used book boxes last year.
Well, last year we just read books, and our teacher found out a way to keep them with us. So we had our each little box, like this one, and we can keep our books in it. So if we haven't finished one book and we're interested in another, then we can start another one that's already in our book box.
Another really important aspect to the Daily Five is having anchor charts. These are goals that are created by the students, led by a teacher, and it is a constant reminder to them what things need to occur for them to work independently. And there are also goals that they give us teachers too, so that we also have a job to do. These are placed in the classroom and they are referred to throughout the year. It's not just another poster that you bought at a teacher's store. They really take it to heart since they created it.
One of the first skills that they have to teach the children is how to read to self. And that is increasing their stamina, and it may start at 3 minutes and work up to 20 minutes. And it teaches them to be quiet and stay in their area and stay focused with their reading. They may be reading the pictures, they may be reading the words, or they may be reading a book that they've read before and retelling that story to themselves.
After students are comfortable reading to themselves, then we take on reading to someone. Reading with a partner is fun. It helps them with their fluency and reading with expression, and it gives them an opportunity to practice reading strategies with a partner. Students sit Eeek, that stands for elbow, elbow, knee, knee, and we use that analogy like they want to be close to someone. If they saw a spider, they would say Eeek. They need to use a soft voice. They stay in one spot, and they get started right away. They can alternate with their partner. I read, you read. They can choral read. They can read one book and take turns, or they can read different books. And while they're doing this, it gives them an opportunity to practice the important skill of checking for understanding.
It's easier to be a reader than a good listener. And to help facilitate good listening in the classroom, students have these lovely check marks. It's a check mark that says check for understanding, and it helps remind them that while their partner's reading, they need to be a good listener. They can't be off looking out into space. So it really keeps them conscious. After their partner's done reading, they will go ahead and retell what they have heard. So it keeps them accountable. We also have some bookmarks to help them be a reading coach. Cindy's going to go ahead and pass them out to you. A lot of times when they're reading with a partner and their partner struggles with a word, they just want to give them the word and help them out, which we know doesn't help them so much. So they have a little reading coach bookmark, and it gives them some strategies that they can use to guide their partner into finding the right words. They'll give them a little moment to themselves and then ask them, do you want coaching or do you want time? And if the answer is coaching, we've got all these strategies here that we've already worked on in class to help them work through and find their way. Two other components we have are word work and work on writing. With word work, students use manipulatives to make their spelling words, to make vocabulary words. This is going to look different in the K1 grades than it will for the 4-5 grades. And this is really the chance for teachers to get creative. I've used Scrabble tiles where kids can make their vocabulary words and see how many words they can come up with using those tiles. They can use wiki sticks, whiteboards, letter stamps, all kinds of different things. And the great thing is it's their choice. They go grab a basket from the shelf and they can pick what they want to use. For working on writing, a lot of times we give them prompts, we give them assignments, and they don't have a chance to write about what they really care about. So for work on writing time, we have to stay out of it. They can write a friendly letter, they can write a story, they can write poetry. It's entirely up to them. Another great thing about the Daily Five is if you walk in a classroom, you're not going to see 21 kids sitting in nice little rows and desks. They're going to be everywhere. You have some on the computer, you have some working at their desks, you've got other kids who've chosen little cozy spots to read. You often see kids sitting underneath desks together reading. And the great part is they're in control, which motivates them to keep on going, and they build greater stamina when they're in a place where they feel comfortable. Listen to reading is one of the options also. A lot of kids come from homes that they don't necessarily hear reading aloud, and good reading aloud helps them build their fluency and expression. So they can listen to reading from the computer, from the new iPods, from books on tape. We've even had kids who record themselves reading a book and their peers will listen to them. So it's another great way to build fluency and expression.
After the students have gone through a 20, 30-minute work session doing their choice of those 5 things, then it's time for the whole class to come together. And in order for that to happen, the teacher would use a soft chime. And the reason they use the chime is because it's unobtrusive, but it gets the students' attention, and they know that it's time to transition. 4, getting to the gathering place. And this is where the teacher is going to do her whole group lesson. Now, this is a whole group lesson that's only going to last about 5 to 7 minutes. And it could be a whole group lesson it's going to be a focus lesson, could be a comprehension strategy, it could be a reading strategy, it might be a writing strategy, it could be something to do with the word work.
What's exciting about Daily 5 at Mount Vernon is even though it's part of our reading model, this really came out of our Teachers as Readers group. So the passion and commitment to this strategy was really from our instructional leaders that we have in our teachers. That proves to us that we not only have lifelong learners in our teachers, but we're developing that in our students. So thank you for letting us present to you today.